thank you so much for taking time to be with me today. As a patient who has lived with kidney disease since a child and as a double transplant recipient, it means a lot to share a conversation with you. I have a quote on my desk that says, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." I went through all of my health challenges to be the passionate patient advocate that I am. And as I learn more about you, I feel like that quote really speaks to who you are as well. And I find it really interesting going from a physician to Wall Street industry and now being the CEO at Unicycive. I know you had two choices of an engineer or a physician when you were a kid. So I'm curious, what made you choose physician over engineer?
My dad is a physician, and as a kid, I role model after my dad. I also had a very genuine inkling and curiosity about the biological sciences. So those two combinations led me to become a physician.
Could you share kind of how you evolved from a physician to where you are today?
So I was in a teaching hospital at NYU, and I felt that it's not what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And at the same time, I did not know what exactly I wanted to do. So over the course of last 20 years, I've spent time in doing different things, all with the idea that ultimately I could be a, people say, force for good.
I heard you share that when you'd care for patients in the ICU, that a common thing that they would talk about is the regrets that they had.
Right.
And how that kind of inspired and empowered you to move forward with what you're doing today.
Right, and I always say that if you were to spend an entire 24 hours next to somebody, and if you have an effect that is caring, they open up to you. And it's a regrets on patient side, but also on family side. Oftentimes people will come and tell me that, "Doctor, only if you could get my dad back for one more hour, one more day." Steve Jobs said it very well, that at the end of the day, we are all going to die. So why fake your existence to be somebody else?
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And being a patient advocate, one of the most beautiful gifts I've been given, which you're giving me today, is being able to be my authentic self and share what I've gone through. But not only sharing it, but being embraced. I'm curious for you, what makes the field of nephrology so special and why you wanted to work in it?
I found nephrology was one place where there were not enough biotechnology companies or biopharma companies that were focused on. And it became clear to me that was one area that if I put my heart and soul to it, we can build products, we can make a difference for patients, and actually be truly, truly not just another biotech company, but be a real force for good.
I'm so glad you are. With that in mind, what attracted you to wanting to help others with high phosphate levels?
Biotechnology companies and people with my background, like physicians or PhDs, we are all enamored with science. But at the end of the day, no matter what we do in terms of innovation, if it does not get to patient or does not impact their lives, it doesn't really matter. I went and talked to physicians about asking a common problem that affects number of people. They said these patients are suffering because they are taking 20 pills, 30 pills per day. If there was one way to solve that problem, that would be meaningful.
I speak about 4 quiet burdens of being a patient, and it is the side effects that we endure, and isolation, guilt, and uncertainty. And those are just quiet things that we go through as patients that aren't talked about a lot. It's the day-to-day burdens that we deal with and the medicine that we take. And I think sometimes quality of life is overlooked because we're just trying to treat an issue and not think about what that treatment actually entails.
Issues, yeah.
And so it means so much that you were thinking about the full picture here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think patients are already taking many other pills and many pills for many other conditions. So hypophosphatemia becomes more of an add-on.
I'm curious what keeps you motivated on tough days when developing treatments for people with chronic kidney disease?
For me, the why is that what we do can make an impact on millions and millions of patients' life. Knowing fully well that it's not an easy journey, it has its own ups and downs, but having a purpose, having a team that is equally motivated, they care about what we do, how it will impact our timelines, how it impact approval. And that is truly a blessing because you are surrounded by people who are motivated, single-minded, unified, focused. And that is our why, and that is my why, and that helps us, keeps us going.
I can't imagine how good that must feel. I read an article on precedent thinking, how when you innovate to basically not start from scratch,
Right.
and to be able to learn from places that you may never imagine you would learn from, which I think is really fun with what you've done here with OLC. Can you share the connection between car battery and OLC?
I wasn't the person who invented the drug, but the original technology came from a car battery company, and they were trying to shrink the size of the battery to make them smaller. In doing so, one of their team members in the company decided to use lanthanum-based compound, and they decided to use nanoparticle technology, and therefore they were able to shrink the size of the tablet. The Spectrum Pharmaceuticals was a company that had initially licensed the technology and was developing the drug, and they had finished over a course of several years and a lot of money in investment, a phase 1 clinical trial, understanding the problem of pill burden. I felt that drug could be and should be developed further. I have reminded myself since the very beginning of this company to look for innovation in every place that we would not necessarily think about.
I'm curious what patient-centered care looks like and means to you when you're making these hard scientific or business decisions.
To me, it requires us to step out of corporate offices, boardrooms, and understand what you started by describing a patient journey. That patients want to do the best they can, but they also need help in terms of tools that help them to achieve their goal. Often in a room, I've asked people, how many of you were ever prescribed a simple antibiotic like azithromycin, commonly known as Z-Pak? Most of us will remember to take the Z-Pak medicine for first 2 or 3 days. By the day 4 and day 5, many people just forget to take the drug. This is a 5-day course. How do you anticipate a patient to take 20 pills, 30 pills, not for a day, not for a week, but for the rest of their lifetime? This is a real big problem that if we could solve the problem, it would be meaningful impact for patients. Combined with my finance and business background, I became convinced this is something that we can put our heart and soul into it.
I'm wondering how physicians and CEOs like yourself focus so much of your energy caring on others. How do you find the time and space to care for yourself, and just knowing how important that is for you to continue to have the energy to move forward with everything you're doing?
I have a loving family. I love spending time with my family. That is one way I find that I can recharge my battery. I'm not a big golfer or a photographer, but I have hobbies which are hiking, gardening, which give me joy, and it takes me away from my day-to-day things. And number 3 is that having a community that you can talk to, you care about, you can share your stories and hear their stories. So I have a broad network of CEOs, healthcare professionals, not just healthcare CEOs, but also tech CEOs. So when you talk to other CEOs and you hear their challenges, their successes as well as failures, you realize that your own problems are not unique to you, and these problems have been overcome before. And there are moments of inspiration here and there which we can all find in different places.
I agree. Sometimes it's the smallest things that can be so inspiring. Even a sunset that I watch and all of a sudden it just makes me still and makes me really think about what's important in life. I'm curious if there's anything that you would like the patient community to know about yourself or the work at Unicycive, why you care, what differentiates you.
Developing a drug is hard. The technical part of it is hard. Running a clinical trial is hard. I understand the challenges, but if you have this vision that you can make one patient's life better, even one person, and here we're talking about not one, like hundreds of thousands and millions of patients, it matters to us. It matters to me. Every single failure, disappointment, setback no matter how hard they seem at the face of it, I feel it's worthwhile to get up one more time and fight, because if we can bring that drug to market, it impacts so many people and it becomes a purpose bigger than us.
Thank you for sharing your heart and fighting for us. The exciting thing in life is the ripple effect of good that can come from something. And I think of that with when you were speaking of, it's the patient taking that, but then it's also improving the patient's lives, which then improves their family lives.
That's
and
right.
it just continues to go on and on.
I think that's a very valid point. I think these patients sometimes do what they do for their families. So doing something for them makes their life better. Therefore, it makes those who are around them, their lives better. I think that's the one component we often forget about.
For sure. And it always amazes me when I have a health issue, how everything else vanishes and what's important in life. It's like you can go through your day-to-day and be focused on silly little things that you have to do and tasks. And if I all of a sudden have to call 911 to be taken in an ambulance, it strips all of that.
That's right.
The value of our health and the amount of times that I've been given a new diagnosis, and when you're a patient and being diagnosed with something new, you want to know what you can do. And if there isn't anything that you can do, you feel so helpless. And that's why new therapies are important, and that's why continuing with innovation is imperative. I think this conversation is so valuable because a lot of times, many times, patients don't have any direct line or connection with individuals like yourself. And it means a lot, and I think demonstrates how much you care to sit down and have these conversations and share it with the community. And I think it's good for them to really get to know you, get to know your heart and why you're doing this, and also your challenges too, because we're all dealing with them. If people ask, how do you continue to endure all that you're going through and remain positive? I strive to never lose my zest for life. That's my goal, is no matter how many things that I face, I really want to continue to fight because I don't want to lose that. Like, I want to be here. It's worth it. I'll go through whatever I have to continue to be here and enjoy life. And it's wonderful to know then that we have champions like yourself fighting for us and knowing that it's worth it as well. Thank you.
Thank you.